Okay, let's talk about something that's pretty stressful for a lot of companies, moving massive amounts of data.
Definitely. Especially when you're looking at platforms like Microsoft Fabric or Synapse.
Exactly. They promise so much, right? Speed, scale, better insights. But get it wrong, and it's chaos.
Total chaos. We're talking
Good.
downtime, budgets going way over, systems just falling apart. And often it's because the right expertise just wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, imagine shifting from, say, an old SQL server, or maybe Oracle, or even those big Hadoop setups.
For other clouds too, like Redshift or Snowflake, it's a huge deal. We're often talking terabytes, sometimes petabytes of data.
Whoa, and it's not just the data volume, is it?
No, not at all. You've got all these complex data pipelines, applications that absolutely depend on that data being right, and strict SLAs you just can't afford to miss.
So let's really dig into that. If someone's facing this kind of move, what expertise is absolutely like non-negotiable? What do they need to get right?
Okay, first pillar, number one, has got to be deep knowledge of the source system, the existing environment.
You mean where the data is now?
Precisely. You cannot successfully move something you don't understand inside and out. Think about it. You need people who really know the specifics. Is it Oracle PL SQL? Is it Teradata with its own quirks?
Mm.
Or maybe HiveQL or Redshift's architecture?
Hmm.
You need folks who understand the potential landmines in those systems.
Landmines, like hidden problems.
Exactly. Hidden dependencies, maybe complex logic embedded somewhere you wouldn't expect. It's critical to preserve that logic and also the data lineage, how the data flows and transforms.
Right, so it's not just copying files, it's understanding the why and how behind the current setup. Okay, makes sense. So after understanding the source.
Then you absolutely need mastery of the target platform, Microsoft Fabric or Synapse in this case.
Okay.
And again, this isn't just a surface level understanding. It's not just lifting and shifting data into a folder. You're effectively building a new data foundation.
So what parts of Fabric or Synapse are we talking about specifically?
Well, you need real expertise in the key components. Things like OneLake, the unified storage layer, workspaces, how they're structured and secured, the different data warehouses, SQL endpoints, lakehouses, and definitely Spark for the processing.
Spark seems to come up a lot.
It's central to a lot of modern data processing, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just knowing what these tools are. It's knowing how to configure and optimize them for performance, for security, and really importantly for cost.
Cost optimization, always key.
Always. You can easily run up huge bills or create security gaps if you don't know how to configure these things properly.
Yeah.
Like setting up Fabric workspaces incorrectly. That can cause performance headaches fast.
Okay, so know the old system, master the new system. What about actually, getting the data across, the move itself?
Right, that's pillar number 3, the actual data migration and integration skills. And this is way more than just a copy job.
How so?
Well, you need skills in building robust data pipelines, knowing which connectors to use for different sources and targets, setting up really rigorous data validation processes.
Validation seems critical. How do you know the data arrived correctly?
Exactly. You need processes to check accuracy, completeness, consistency. Then there's change data capture, or CDC. That's huge for minimizing downtime during the cutover.
Right, capturing changes while migration is happening.
Precisely. And you need scripting and automation skills to handle repetitive tasks reliably. Whether you're using Azure Data Factory, Synapse pipelines, maybe third-party tools, that core skill set is vital. Forget proper validation, and you might not realize you have massive data errors until weeks later.
Yikes. Okay, so source knowledge, target mastery, migration skills. We're in the cloud, though. What about the Azure platform itself?
Pillar 4, absolutely essential. Cloud infrastructure and security expertise. Azure isn't just basic storage and compute you turn on.
No, it's a whole ecosystem.
It really is. You need people who understand how to properly configure and manage things like Azure Virtual Networks, VNets for secure network isolation, private links for secure connections to services without exposing them to the public internet.
Okay, more security layers.
Yes, and things like managed identities for secure service authentication, Azure Key Vault for managing secrets like API keys and passwords securely. Role-based access control, RBAC, is critical for making sure only the right people have access to the right resources.
So controlling who can do what.
Exactly. And setting up continuous security monitoring. Misconfigure any one of these, like your network rules or your access controls, and you could open up major vulnerabilities.
It sounds like a lot of technical bases to cover, but what if you have all the tech wizards? Can things still go wrong?
Oh, absolutely. And that brings us to pillar 5, which sometimes gets overlooked. Solid project management.
The coordination piece.
Yes. You can have the most brilliant engineers, But without a clear plan, good leadership, and effective coordination, things can still fall apart.
So what does that look like in practice?
It means having realistic timelines, developing really comprehensive test plans, not just for the data, but for the whole process, proactively identifying risks and having mitigation plans ready, and maybe most importantly, clear, consistent communication with all the stakeholders, keeping everyone informed.
Makes sense. You need someone steering the ship. Can we maybe walk through a quick example, put it all together?
Sure. Let's say a healthcare provider wants to migrate their patient analytics platform off an old Teradata system onto Microsoft Fabric.
Okay, common scenario. What kind of team do they need?
Well, based on our pillars, you'd need someone who deeply understands those Teradata schemas and the existing ETL logic. That's pillar one. You'd need a Fabric expert, probably strong in Spark and setting up lakehouses efficiently.
Got it.
Then you need someone skilled in migration tooling, maybe Azure Data Factory, handling the data movement and validation. Pillar three, you definitely need an Azure infrastructure person, maybe a DevOps engineer who knows Bicep or Terraform for automating the Azure setup securely. Pillar four.
Okay, infrastructure as code.
Yep. And finally, you absolutely need a project manager who had experience specifically with these kinds of large-scale, maybe even zero downtime, cutovers. Pillar five. It's having that team with all these skills accounted for and ideally tested in real-world scenarios.
That really clarifies it. It's a team effort, not just one superhero. So for the leaders listening, what's the main takeaway?
I think for enterprise leaders, the big thing is be honest about your team's current capabilities. Don't assume you have all this specialized knowledge in-house if you haven't done this exact type of migration before.
Right.
It's often much, much more cost-effective to bring in specialists, either to augment your team or guide the process, than it is to clean up a failed migration attempt. Think of it as risk management.
Good advice. And what about for the data professionals listening in? What's in it for them?
No, for data professionals, this is a massive growth opportunity. Getting hands-on experience with cloud migrations, especially to platforms like Fabric or Synapse, is huge.
How so?
You develop incredibly valuable skills. Cloud platform expertise, advanced data validation techniques, modern ETL and ELT design patterns, complex problem solving under pressure. These skills are in super high demand. It looks great on a resume.
So it's a career booster as well as a technical challenge.
Definitely.
Okay, so wrapping up, the core message seems to be successful migrations to Fabric or Synapse aren't just about the tech itself, but fundamentally about the people and their combined expertise. The planners, the engineers, the specialists.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's all about having the right team with the right skills.
If you want to explore this topic even further, we definitely recommend checking out the full blog post. We've put the link in the show notes for you.
Yeah, it goes into even more detail on each of these areas.
And look, if you're planning a migration, or maybe you're in the middle of one and you realize you might have some gaps in that expertise we talked about, consider reaching out to Curate Partners. They specialize in connecting companies with exactly this kind of migration talent.
They really know this space well.
All right, well, that's our deep dive for today. Until next time, keep building, keep innovating.
And make sure you build with confidence, with the right team beside you.